Hello friends, I hope you're all well. Today I would like to practice a series of yoga asana. As you are practicing, if there is a pose that you have difficulty with, please do not be concerned about that. That is something you can always grow into. I try to offer variations on poses, so if you do not find it working one way, you may find that it works another way. And please remember, if there's a pose that you don't feel like doing, please don't do it. It may not be the right time or the right place for you to attempt the pose. Or if it's one that you practice regularly, you may just be bored with it. So as you practice, please remember to listen to your body. I will end with Savasana, and there will also be an opportunity to do meditation if you choose to do so. And when I finish, you do not have to finish. If you wish to continue on in Savasana or in meditation, please feel free to do that. So the first pose that I would like to do today is Vrksasana, which is the tree pose. Now, if you have balance issues like I do from time to time, please don't hesitate to put your hand on a wall, or if you have a sturdy chair nearby, please use the sturdy chair just to have your hand resting on. When you do practice with a chair, please have at least two of the legs on the mat, so there's no chance for the chair to actually slip. And if you need to take a break, take a break. So, to begin with, please stand in Tadasana, the tree pose. Have your toes together and have your heels slightly apart. If it doesn't work for you to have your toes together, have your feet separated instead, but the outer edges of the feet no wider than your hips. Look at your feet. Lift the toes up, stretch them forwards, bring them down onto the mat. Press the big toes down. Pull the arches up in your feet. Pull the kneecaps up, pull the muscles up on the insides of the legs towards the groin. The muscles on the outside legs are going down towards the ground, helping to create a nice firm foundation. Engage the muscles just above the pubis very lightly. It's a very slight pulling up motion. Tuck the two floating ribs. They're the short ribs along the sides. Lift the clavicles, the collarbones, lift them up. Drop the spine of scapula, the top part of the shoulders, drop them down your back. Externally rotate the deltoid muscles. To do that, simply turn the hands out. Lengthen your spine. Imagine you have a hand just behind the heart, very gently pushing upwards. Relax the shoulders down. Tuck the chin just a little bit so that you feel the back of the neck lengthening. Keep your face soft and allow the skin of the crown of the head to feel like it's separating. But if that feels weird to you, please don't worry about doing that. Enjoy a few breaths. Breathe from the tummy. Try to breathe from the tummy, but if your body doesn't want to breathe that way, please don't force it. But if you do think about it, and it is comfortable for you to do, breathe in by expanding the tummy out. Exhale by allowing the tummy to contract. Now for Vrksasana. If you want to, move closer to a wall so you have enough room just to put your hand on the wall if you need to. Find your equilibrium. Remember to use your big toes. Press the big toes into the mat gently. Pull the arches up. Keep the left leg strong. We're going to begin with the left leg, and we're going to draw the right leg up. Now, if you do have balance issues, or your legs don't want to do that right now, simply turn the right heel, put the right heel on the ankle, and have the toes on the floor. Or you could put the foot entirely on the calf, or you could draw the leg right up to the groin. If you are going to put your foot on the thigh, no part of the foot touches the knee. You don't put your foot on the knee, the arch of the foot doesn't touch the knee, the toes don't touch the knee, the heel doesn't touch the knee. Nothing touches the knee. You do not want to blow your knee out. So please don't do that. Either have the foot on the calf, or the toes on the floor and the heel on the ankle, or the foot entirely on the thigh with the heel up near the groin. So, to begin with, decide which it is that you want to do. And remember, if you need to change, change. Don't feel like you're stuck in a pose. So, drawing the right leg up, find your equilibrium. The bent leg, foot is pressing firmly into the thigh, and the thigh is pressing backwards. The knee is moving back behind you, or as if it would, just so that you can feel the groin opening up. Bring your arms up, hold a nice large beach ball, tuck the two floating ribs, lift the clavicles, the collarbones, drop the spine of scapula, the top part of the shoulders, drop them down your back. Breathe. Engage the muscles in the toes. Use your toes. Pull the arches up. Tuck the ribs a little bit. Find your equilibrium. If you do need to hold on to the wall, put your hand against the wall, please do that. If you want to put your hands together, please do that. But when you do that, make sure that your shoulders are not bunching up near your ears. You have to have the shoulders so they're relaxing down. They may look like they're bunching up near the ears, but only you can tell if the shoulders are actually relaxing. So you have to be, as with all the poses, you have to be the final arbiter of that. Even if we were in a class together, I would be reluctant to say something unless I could actually tell that you were overdoing it. Try and make subtle adjustments to your body. Over time, you'll find what your body will do and what your body won't do. Don't overdo it. Only stay in a pose as long as it's comfortable for you. If it's not comfortable for you, come out of the pose. Now undo the bind. Now I tend to have not so good balance standing on my right leg. Some people it's like that. You have one side that's better than the other. I have scoliosis, and so my hips are a little askew, and so sometimes that throws me off balance. But what you can also do is, if you're standing on the mat, come off the mat and stand on a harder surface. In this case, I have a rug on the floor, which really doesn't serve, but it's better than being on the mat. So, decide where you're going to put your foot. Now, I would advise, if you put your foot on the ankle on one side, or on the calf on one side, or on the thigh, do the same thing on this side, unless there is a big reason why you can't do that. If your hip doesn't want to do that, if you have problems with your hip and your leg won't come up, that's fine. When you're drawing the leg up, if you are putting it on the thigh, please don't hesitate to not use your hand to draw the foot up. Don't feel that you have to pull the foot up without the help of the hand. Don't do that. See? Engage the big toe. That helps with the balance. The foot presses firmly into the thigh. The thigh presses back. Bring the arms up, hold a nice large beach ball. Find something vertical to look at. Tuck the two floating ribs. Make any subtle adjustments your body suggests. Breathe. Watch your breath. Try and relax the muscles that you are not using to maintain the pose. and undo the bind. Now the remainder of the poses are going to be done on the mat, on the floor. So to get there, I'm going to do Surya Namaskar, the sun salutation, to go down. You do not have to. If you just want to sit right down on the floor, please feel free to do that. If you are interested in doing Surya Namaskar, I do have a video out there, and there are all sorts of things on the internet which will tell you how to get into Surya Namaskar. Or if you have a book, I have a great book here, Yoga the Iyengar Way, which I really enjoy. It's nice. The book explains things very well, and I do recommend it. So, to practice Surya Namaskar, come to the edge of your mat, look at your feet, bring your arms up overhead, bring your arms down, forward folding over the legs, over the toes, bend the knees, put the hands on the floor in front of you, step back with the right foot, step back with the left foot, toes are rather together, come down into Planka-asana, the plank pose. Then push yourself up into upward facing dog, Adho Urdhva Mukta Svanasana. Then flip the toes over. You could flip the toes over one at a time or hop them over and go into downward facing dog, Adho Mukta Svanasana. Now in this pose, press the hands and the thumbs firmly into the floor. You may notice that my fingers are on the floor and part of my hands are on the mat. I like that because that elevates the wrists slightly, and I find that that gives me a benefit. Now, look at your feet. The toes are pointing directly forwards. They're not sticking out to the side or pointing towards one another. Now, bend the right knee, giving the left hip a nice stretch. Now straighten the right knee, bend the left knee, giving the right hip a nice stretch. Now, back to full dog. If you are in this pose and your heels do not come to the mat, please do not worry about that. If you want to, have a couple of blocks back there for your heels to rest on if you are doing just downward facing dog. Please have blocks there so that your heels have something to rest on. Now, I would like you to let your spine extend. Let your back lengthen comfortably. The arms are strong. They're pushing the mat away. They're pushing the floor away. Allow the buttocks to blossom a little bit. Feel the opening in the hips. The eyes of the elbows turn towards the ceiling just a little bit. Now, come down onto your knees. And from this pose, we're going to do another hip opener called Pishtasana, which is a series of poses. So, move towards the front of your mat. Draw your right leg forward, however you want to do that. Have the foot either entirely on the mat or entirely off the mat, not part of it on the mat and part of it off the mat. Look at your right foot. The right foot is pointing forwards unless you've had damage to your ankle or to your knee and you can't do that. Bring the knee forward, keeping weight in your hands. The knee goes beyond the ankle, and that's okay providing you have the weight in your hands. Otherwise, you want to have the joint of the knee above the ankle bone. Notice the hip, the left hip, is opening. You feel a tension in the left hip. Now, with the toes of the left foot on the mat, the soft part of the toes, if you want to, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, lift the knee off the mat. So you get more of an opening in the left hip. What is happening with your neck? Keep the neck soft. You don't want to be looking up. You want to be looking down towards the ground. Now bring the left knee down. Put the toenails on the mat unless that gives you cramp. And bring the hips back towards the left heel, bringing the right foot up off the mat. Now bend the right knee a little bit so the leg is not straight, and dig the right heel into the mat, and it's as if you were trying to pull the right heel back towards the left heel. So the heel is pressing firmly into the floor or the mat and trying to drag back just a little bit so that you can feel the tension in the hamstrings. By doing this, that will help to relieve the tension in the hamstrings when you straighten the leg. Now, as with anything, you do not want to overdo it. So don't overdo it. So now straighten the leg. Keep tension in your hands. The hands are pressing firmly into the floor. Be mindful of your lower back. Make sure your lower back feels comfortable. If you want to keep the leg bent, keep the leg bent. Remember, your body is an excellent teacher, but you do have to listen to it. Now, move your left hand out a little bit. Draw the right hand in on the inside of the right leg. Bring the right leg back into a tabletop position, as if we were going to do cat and cow, Vrksasana, Pishtasana. Now bring the left foot forward. Draw the hands up. The knee goes a little bit beyond the ankle. The left foot is pointing forwards, not going to the left or the right. Feel the stretch in the left hip. This is a nice stretch to do. And you find it in a lot of different stretching exercises, this one. It's also called the lizard pose. Or at least that's what I've heard it called. Now bring the right knee off the mat. So the soft part of the toes of the right foot are on the mat. Lifting the knee up. Keep the weight in your hands. Notice the energy that's going to your left hip. How is your neck? Make sure your neck isn't getting tight. Now bring the right knee down. Bring the hips back towards the buttocks. Draw the left foot up. Keep the left knee bent. Dig the left heel firmly into the floor as if you were trying to pull it back. Lengthen your spine. Keep the chin tucked a little bit. Make sure your lower back feels comfortable. That is so important. Make sure your lower back always feels comfortable. Now straighten the leg if you want to, or keep it bent. Remember, if you do have any questions about any of these poses, please do not hesitate to leave a comment for me, and I will respond to you. Now, move the right hand over a little bit, the left hand in, and come out of the pose. Please remember to have available to you something to drink, if you feel like having something to drink. I always keep some lemon water available to me, and if it's really cold outside, I like to have warm lemon water or hot lemon water. Simply get some water, warm it up, and then put some drops of lemon in there to whatever level happens to work for you. The next pose that we're going to do is Eka Pada Rajakapotasana, which is the pigeon pose. So, come back, face the front. Now, you can get into this several ways. You can come into it from downward facing dog by drawing the right leg forward and then bringing yourself into the pose. Or you can be in a tabletop position or a modified tabletop position and simply bring the leg forward. Now, the thing I would like you to be mindful of, when you're in this position, right, I want you to have your leg at an angle. The leg is at an angle and the knee is going out to the side. I do not want your leg parallel to the front. If you are not flexible enough and you have your leg parallel to the front, you are going to damage your knee. So please don't do that. Have the heel, in this case we'll be starting with the right heel will be near the left groin. So your leg will be at an angle. And as you come into the pose, take your hand, left hand, and move some of the calf muscle of the right leg out from underneath the knee. So that helps to create a pocket behind the knee. And whenever you're doing poses where your legs are tucked in a lot, if you can, just take the one hand, the opposite hand, and just move some of the calf muscle out of the way. That'll help to lighten that pose for you. And remember, whenever you're in a pose like the pigeon pose, the leg that is at the angle, you want to have that active. Don't just have the leg relaxed. Make sure that that leg, this leg, will press into the mat. So the foot, the top part of the foot, which has the toenails on or mostly on the mat, not sticking out to the side, so it's not like that, it's like that. The toes and the leg, the calf, the shins are pressing into the mat. And you may want to have a towel or a block for your hip to rest on. So, choose the way that you would like to get into the pose. You can do it with downward facing dog or from a tabletop position, an exaggerated tabletop position, whichever happens to work for you. So draw the right leg up, the knee comes down, the leg is at an angle. Here, I'll do it on this side here. There, like that, at an angle. The toenails are on the mat. The knee is out at an angle. Move some of the calf muscle out of the way. And then just gently bring yourself down. You can, if you want to, take a block and stick the block under the hip so your hip has something to rest on if the hip doesn't want to come to the floor today. And remember that just because yesterday your body was open to that, it doesn't necessarily follow that today it will be so. So allow yourself to work on the day that you've got. So coming down into the pose. Remember that the leg that is on the floor is pressing, the bent leg that's on the floor is pressing into the floor a little bit. It's not really hard, but it's just enough so that you know you can feel the tension there. Bring your head down towards the mat. Rest your head on your hands. The extended leg going backwards is pressing into the floor. It is an active leg. It is not just hanging out there. The lizard pose, Pishtasana, is a good preparation for doing this pose because it helps to open up the hips. So, Lift your head up off of the mat. Your hands are out in front of you. Then very gently draw your hands back as far as you want to. You don't have to do it at all. Lift the clavicles, the collarbones, drop the spine of scapula. There is a bend that's happening in your back. Now, I would like the bend to happen towards the rib cage, up along the back, rather than down in the lower part of the spine. Here, I'll move over so you can see. Keep your arms bent, lengthen the spine, lift the clavicles, drop the spine of scapula. You see, the bend is happening up here, the bend is not happening down here. If the bend happens down here, you're a lot more likely to hurt your back. So please do not do that. Lengthen the spine, lift the clavicles, drop the spine of scapula. Tuck the two floating ribs. Relax the shoulders. And now, to come out of the pose, draw your left leg forward a little bit, pushing it forward with the knee. Then draw the right leg back. Come into a tabletop position briefly and extend the right leg back, drawing the heel forward, pulling the toes towards you. Straightening the leg. Now, doing the left side. Choose how you want to go into the pose. You can either go into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, or you could do a modified tabletop position. The eyes of the elbows are active if you're doing downward facing dog. Draw the left leg forward, the left heel near the right groin. Take the right hand and move some of the muscle out from behind the left knee. Then gently inch yourself down. Remember, you may be tighter on this side than you were on the other side. So if that's the case, allow your body to be tighter. Don't force it down if it doesn't want to go down. Remember, you can always use a block or a blanket to just put underneath the hips so there's support there. And then when it feels right, draw yourself down. Only go down as far as you want to. Bring the head down. Adjust your body. Remember that the leg that's pressing into the floor, the toenails that are pressing into the floor, is active. It's not passive. So there's a little bit of activity going on. Not too much activity because the leg has nowhere to go. But you do want to have that action going on with the muscles. The extended leg is active. Now, start to bring your elbows in. Bring yourself up. Pulling back with the hands. Gently bringing yourself up. Keep the elbows a little bent. Remember the bend is happening up towards the thoracic part of the back, not down in the lower lumbar area. Tuck the two floating ribs, lift the clavicles, drop the spine of scapula. What is going on with your hips? Is the rear leg, the extended leg, is it active? Is the leg that's bent gently active? Listen to your body. If your body doesn't want to do something, don't force it. If you want to spend more time in the pose, spend more time in the pose. If you want to come out of the pose, come out of the pose. As soon as your body says, I've had enough, come out of the pose. Don't overstay the welcome of a pose. It is not worth it. Now, draw the right leg forward a little bit, inching forward till you can bring the left leg back. Then extend the left leg out. The left heel is active, pushing back towards the wall. The toes are pulling towards you. And bring it down. Come and sit down. The next pose we're going to do is Gomukhasana, also known as cow face. I really like this pose. Now with this pose, please remember that you have a number of options on how you can have your legs. So, a lot of times the way I see it is you take the right leg, put the right leg in, so the right heel is near the left hip, and then you bring the left heel around near the right hip. Now, if your body won't do that, don't worry about it. If, for instance, you can't bring the left leg around on top, have the left leg extended out in front of you. So you've got the right heel near the left hip, but the left leg is extended out. The left leg is active, the left leg feet are active, the toes are active, maybe pointing up towards the ceiling or pointing back towards you. The arch in the foot is going forward, the leg is straight as your leg will reasonably do. The toes are generally pointing upwards. You can do it that way. If your legs won't do this at all, you can sit cross-legged to do that, in which case you want to have a block or a thick book and sit on the book and cross the legs in front of you. Start out with the right leg in front, and then when you do the other side, change the position of the legs. The reason why I want you to sit on a block is you'll notice if you're sitting on a block, your spine maintains its natural curve. If you're doing this pose and you're sitting cross-legged on the floor, the lower part of your back is going to round out. And when it rounds out, it weakens the lower back. It's not good for the lower back. So you want to have the natural curve. That's why you want to sit on a block or sit on a thick towel, whatever happens to work for you. Now the other way that you can do the legs is to draw the right leg back, sit on the heel, draw the left leg over, so the left leg is rather over the right leg. Take your muscle, move the muscle out of the way. I should have actually done that with the lower leg. Now with the hands, there are a couple of ways that you can do the hands. I'll turn towards the side so you can see. No, do this side. Chip. Chip. Now, whichever side the top leg is on, the other arm goes up. So, if you're going to use a strap, put the strap over the right shoulder. Take the left arm, stick the left arm out beside you with the thumb pointing upwards. Turn the thumb down, pointing towards the ground, then bring the left hand around behind you, pressing the hand firmly into the back. Don't just hold on to your shirt, right? Use a belt, a strap. You could use your other hand if it reaches comfortably. So, the strap, my left hand is a little numb, so I have to put it in place. Hold on to the strap with the left hand, then bring the right hand in front of you. Again, the thumb is pointing upwards. Bring the right arm up, 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 then bring it down and hold on to the strap, or if you can, comfortably hold on to the fingers or the hand. Lift the clavicles, the collarbones, drop the top part of the shoulders down, adjust the hips, tuck the two floating ribs, breathe. Now be mindful of your shoulders. Is a shoulder hurting? Does one shoulder hurt? Is the rotator cuff hurting? If it is, use the strap. You can lengthen the strap as far as you want. The main thing is that your arm's in alignment. So even if you have a strap and your elbow is pointing directly out is fine. Sticking it out to the side like that in line with your rib cage is not. So it's in front, it can be down, middle, up, it doesn't matter. Out is not good. Out is right out. Gomukhasana. Or as a friend of mine likes to say, cows go moo. That's how she remembered the name. Listen to your body. Only hold the pose as long as it's comfortable. Then undo the bind with the hands. Bring the hands down. Allow the body to adjust. Then undo the legs. Do it slowly. Don't be in a hurry. You don't want to pull something. And then extend the legs out in front of you. Shake them out. When you're coming out of any twists or binds like this, take your time. Don't do it in a hurry. I mean, unless you're in a lot of pain or something like that, in which case you should have got out before. But take your time coming out. Now for the other side, put the left leg by the right heel, and remember you can either extend it upwards, you can cross it over like that, or you can sit cross-legged on a block, whichever happens to work for you. Or you can do it the way that I did it, which you don't have to do. The way that opens your hips is the one that is best for you. So the perineum is on the heel. Draw the right leg back. You're sitting comfortably. Allow the torso to settle. Allow the hips to settle. If you're using a strap, put the strap now on the left shoulder. Just let it hang down. Take the right arm out. Turn the right thumb down. Bring the right thumb behind you. Press the hand into the back. Hold on to the shoulders. Keep the shoulders active. Bring the left arm up. In front of you, thumb is pointing upwards. Bring it up, 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 and down. And hold on to the hand or hold on to the strap. You may be tighter on one side than you are on the other. That's not at all unusual. Lift the clavicles, the collarbones. Drop the spine of scapula. Tuck the two floating ribs. Lengthen your spine. Keep your chin tucked a little bit so the back of the neck is lengthening. What is going on with the rotator cuffs and the shoulders? Are they giving you trouble? If they are, use the strap. Allow the strap to lengthen. Listen to your body. Make any subtle adjustments your body suggests. Now undo the bind. Undo the legs. Extend the legs out in front of you. Now, the next pose I want to do is called Bharadvajasana, the second version. There are two versions that I know of. So the version that I want to do today, you may find a little challenging, and if this is the case, you do not have to do it. Or you could do the first version. I'll show you the first version, the legs of the first version, then I'll show you the legs of the second version, and you can decide which it is that you want to do. So for the first version, you bend the left knee, thread the left leg, so the right leg is extended forwards. Now, if for the next bit your leg won't do that, and you want to keep, you can manage it with the left leg extended outwards, please do that. And the same would go for the second version of this. Now, if you can and you want to do this, draw the left leg back, lay the ankle or the foot of the left leg in the arch of the right foot. And before we do the hands or start moving towards the hands, I want you to be aware of what is happening with your body. Now, I have scoliosis, so on one side it works quite well for me, but on the other side it doesn't. So if you have scoliosis or something like that, and your body doesn't want to do it on one side, use a prop, like a block. Early in the morning when I practice, sometimes I'll put a block underneath the hip. So in this case, it would be the right hip. So I notice just by putting the block underneath that, I can feel that my spine is now straight up and down. And there's not so much taxation going on in the lower part of my back. And so that is something that you need to be aware of. In time, as your muscles stretch, and I don't mean in time as in the course of one day, I mean like in the course of maybe some months or something like that. Don't expect improvement right like that. If you do have that, you may be pulling something. And you don't want to do that. So, for the arms, let me see, do it like this so you can see. The arms are rather the same for the second version. You would take the left hand, put the left hand so the left palm is over the right thigh. Then you bring the right hand around and you thread it into the muscle of the left arm, like so. Then you drop your chin down, looking towards the legs. Then keeping the chin tucked a little bit, bring it up on the right, just for a moment or two. Then drop the chin down, let it come to center again. Then bring the chin up so you're looking over the left shoulder. And when you see the left shoulder, just arch your back a little bit as if you were looking for something that you might have dropped behind you. Maybe a donut or some chocolate or a drink. But you're just arching your back a little bit. And then you undo the bind. Now, if you cannot get your hand around, you could use a strap or a belt. Find the middle of the strap, put the strap up to the armpit, take the arm of the left hand and squeeze it against the thigh, against the side so that the strap stays in place. Bring your hand around, get a hold of the strap, then take your left hand and put the left hand on the right thigh. So you can have your arm as close to your body as it needs to be, and you can have action on it. Don't just hold on to your shirt, right? Use a strap or hold on to the arm. If you just want to do the legs, you could just do the legs, but that would not be the whole pose. But if that's what you need on a day, that's what you need on a day. I would strongly encourage you to use a strap. So that way you avoid doing anything that might pull a muscle, and you could always just move the hand forward, getting tighter and tighter as you want to, and then you may just let go of the strap and put your hand in the muscle, whichever happens to work for you. So that is version 1. Now you would do the same thing on the other side. Now for version 2, which is the one that I want to practice today, it's a little different. Take the left leg back, lean into the floor on the right, take your hand and just move some of the muscle out from behind the calf. Move the left leg in so that the left heel is by the left hip. You don't want to have your leg going out at an angle like a W or a V. You want to have the leg snug in, reasonably snug in, beside the thigh. Then, for the right leg, you bring the right leg back. Be careful. Draw the right heel up. Put the heel in the groin. Then bring the right knee towards the mat. Now, if the right knee doesn't want to do that and you want to put a block there for it to rest on, or you want to take a towel or something and just put it down there for the knee to rest on, that is perfectly fine. But the thing I want you to be aware of is the joint of the knee. How is it that feels to you? Does it feel like it's pulling? Does it feel tight? If it is, be careful. You may want to do the first version rather than the second version. They are both equally good, right? One is not better than the other. This one is just a little more challenging. So listen to your body on this. So now with this one, put your hands on the knees to begin with. In poses like this, I like to take time between the seated portion, working on the seated portion of the pose, letting my body relax, letting my spine get into the place that it wants to be, letting the hips relax, and then move into the hands once I notice my body start to relaxing. Because remember, it's in the relaxation of the pose where you get the benefit of the pose. If you're doing a pose and there is no relaxation, that is not the right pose for you at this time. You may have done that pose yesterday and it may be perfectly fine. But whenever you're in a pose and there is no relaxation going on, you're going to pull a muscle. So please remember to let your body be able to relax. That's why I like to sit first before moving on in the pose. That way I can tell what my body is doing. So, now for the twist. Move the body, turn towards the right, lift the clavicles, drop the spine and scapula. Take the left hand, put the left hand on the right knee. Then, the right hand, bring the right hand behind you, bring it around and hold on to the right foot. Hold on to the toes. Now, I am able to do it with this side fairly easily. With the other side, I need to use a strap generally. So, allow yourself to be comfortable. Let your hips relax. The chin is tucking. Tuck the chin down, looking towards the thigh. Bring the chin up onto the right. You're looking at the right side. What is going on with your spine? The spine has a rotation going on in it, but you must not over-rotate the spine. Then tuck the chin back down. Then bring the chin up. Again, you're looking over the left shoulder, arching the back. Breathing. And then undo the bind with the hand. Slowly let your body come around to the front, the torso come around to the front. Pause before moving. Let the body relax first. Then gently bring yourself out of the pose. Foot flat on the floor so the leg is straight up and down, and then extend the legs out. If you're having problem with this leg, at this time, this is probably not the right way to go for you. Keep that in mind. Be mindful of what's happening with this leg. Now, lean over towards the right, draw, with a hand on the shin, draw the left leg up, foot flat on the floor, pause for a moment, then extend the leg out. Shake them out. Now, to do the other side on Bharadvajasana 1, lift the right knee, thread the left leg underneath the right, bring the left hip to the right, the left heel to the right hip. Then, if you want to, you could either extend the leg out, as we did with the other side, or you can draw the left leg back, laying the ankle of the right leg in the arch of the left leg. And on this side, I can definitely tell a difference with my spine. I can feel it go whoop, like that. So, if I were going to do the first pose, I would take a block and I would sit on the block. Put the block underneath the left buttock. Now I can feel my spine. Spine is generally a lot better. If I were to take my thumbs and rub them down my spine, I could feel that there'd be less of a jog in my spine. There'd still be a jog there, but it would be a lot better. Yes. And I find that through my practice of yoga, I do not as often feel the effects of the problems that are going on with my spine. Now, with everybody, that's different. And just because it may work for me, it may not work for you. So if you do have issues with your spine, please be very careful what you do. And do check with your physician before you start going into any radical routines, radical yoga routines. Always listen to your body. So, the hands, the right hand would go over the left thigh, and the left hand would come around and hold on to the muscle or the strap. You would bring your chin up, looking at the left shoulder, pausing for a moment or two, then dropping the chin down, bringing it up, so you look over the right, arching the back. That is as if you were going to do the first version. For the second version, begin with the legs extended out, shake the legs out, take the right leg, draw the right leg back, lean into the left, lean over on the side, draw the the right leg back, take your thumb, move some of the calf muscle out from behind the knee, bring the leg in closer towards the thigh so it isn't sticking out, but it's going sort of back. Find your equilibrium. Decide if you want to sit, put a block or a towel underneath the left buttock. Draw the left leg back. Bring the left leg up so it's near the hip, the crease of the hip. Take your time on it. Don't be in a hurry. Make sure you feel comfortable. Now, it's harder for me to get my hand around and hold on to the foot, so I'm going to use a strap. Put the strap around the foot, bring the strap behind me, hoping it doesn't run into the sound system. I hope the sound system is working. I guess I should have checked. Lift the clavicles, drop the spinous scapula. Move the right hand to the left knee, left hand on the floor. Allow the torso to twist a little bit. Lift the clavicles, the collarbones, drop the top part of the shoulders down the back. Allow for any subtle adjustments your body wants to make. Bring the left hand around. Hold on to the strap. I'm getting it tangled in the sound system. So if the sound system goes, you know why. I've got some wires going down my back. Try and bring the hand as close to the foot as you reasonably can. Allow the torso to turn. Tuck the chin. Bring the chin up. Looking over the left shoulder. Pausing for a moment or two. Then dropping the chin down, making sure you pause in the middle. Make any adjustments your body suggests. Then bring it up to the right. Arch your back a little bit. Breathe. And now undo the bind. Remove the strap. Pause for a moment. Then gently undo the left leg. Bring it to the floor. Let the leg align. Then extend the leg out. Then gently, using your hands, undo the bind with the leg, foot on the floor, knee up in the air, then extend it out. Shake the legs out. Now the final pose that I want to do before we do Savasana is Virasana. It's called the hero pose. Now, you may want to have a block I've got two different types of blocks here. I have this nice one that's made out of bamboo. You can also get them this size in cork. Cork is nice. So, the pose looks like this. Knees are together. Take the hands, move the calf muscles out of the way, and sit down. This is what the legs look like. Now, if this does not work for you, you could sit cross-legged to do the upper portion of this pose. But as with the other pose, you should sit on a block. Don't just sit on the floor if you're going to be cross-legged, unless you're doing Padmasana, which is the lotus pose. And if you can't do this, don't do the lotus pose. And then you put your hands together in the Atmanjali Mudra. Cross the fingers, remember which thumb is on top. Then turn the hands up towards the ceiling, adjusting the spine. And then you bring it down and cross the thumbs over and do the other side. So, if you want to use a block, you can take a block and put the block down for you to sit on. That relieves tension from the knee or from the ankles. You could use a couple of blocks if you wanted to use a couple of blocks, or you could put it up on the side if you have a wider block, whichever works for you. And of course, you don't have to do it at all. If you don't want to, don't do it. So, Virasana. Begin with the legs extended out. Draw the left leg back, leaning over towards the right. Take the thumb, move the calf muscle out from behind you, from underneath the knee, rather. Not speaking very well today. Draw the right leg back. Move the muscle out. Knees are together. Now, if you want to get into this a different way, and not the way that I did, that's perfectly fine. Do the one that happens to work for you. This just happens to work for me right now. It doesn't always work for me. Some days I have to use another way to get in, like I did just then, by being on my knees and sitting down. Put the hands in the Atmanjali Mudra. Cross the fingers over. Remember which thumb is on top. Turn the palms up, facing the ceiling. Pushing the forefingers up towards the ceiling. Tucking your chin. Lift the collarbones, drop the top part of the shoulders down the back, tuck the two floating ribs. Remember to breathe. Do you know that the breathing really helps the muscles relax? The more oxygen you get into your body without hyperventilating, the easier it is on your muscles because they get more oxygen. If you don't give them enough oxygen, the muscles start to seize. Then when you come out of it, simply bring the hands back together to the Atmanjali Mudra. Then cross the fingers over, making sure that the other thumb is on top. And then bring the hands up again. Again, tuck the two floating ribs, lift the clavicles, drop the spine of scapula. And then bring the hands down into the Atmanjali Mudra. Put the hands on the knees for a moment. Allow the body to pause. Then push up, bringing the buttocks off the mat. Cross the legs over. Extend the legs out, or come out of it however you like. Shake the legs. Now, what I'm going to do next is Savasana, the corpse pose. And I will show you the basic form of the corpse pose, and then I will begin a meditation. I recommend that you do the corpse pose, and then when you finish the corpse pose, Savasana, you practice meditation. But I will go directly into the meditation. If I were to sit and do the Savasana and then do the corpse pose, then do the meditation, it would be rather lengthy. And I don't know how you want to spend your time. But one thing I do want to say is the corpse pose, Shavasana, is the most important of all of the poses. There is no pose that is more important than this particular pose. So please always make sure you have time for it. Even if you only do a couple of poses, have time for the Shavasana. Shavasana is an important pose. So to practice Shavasana, you can have a blanket to put on you. I'll use a block or a blanket to put behind your head as a pillow. So the main reason is that your head is elevated and it keeps the head from tilting back. If you have a long Shavasana and you don't have a pillow or something, your head is going to start tilting up and constricts the blood vessels at the back of the neck. So, lay down. Look at your feet. The feet are going directly out from your body, not slightly to the left or slightly to the right. The head is relaxed on the floor. Then take your block or whatever you're using as a pillow and put the block underneath the head. But the block goes on the occipital ridge, but it doesn't really touch the neck. Depending on how your block is, it may be touching your neck. If it's touching it slightly, that's fine. Then you can begin at the feet, tightening the muscles along the feet, the legs, the thighs, the hips, the spine, the arms, the hands, then the shoulders, then gently the neck, then scrunch your face up, the muscles on your head, tighten the ears. Rotate the eyes one direction, then rotate the eyes in the other direction. Then allow the eyes become soft. Let the heels, the feet fall to the sides. The hands face upwards. If you're wearing glasses, take the glasses off so they don't press on the bridge of the nose. Then close your eyes. Notice any tight spots in your body. Ask those spots to relax. When you've done that, I would like you simply to watch the breath going in and going out. You watch the breath coming in, you watch the breath going out. Don't interfere with the breath. And when you notice that your mind has wandered, it will wander. Everybody's mind wanders. So when you notice that it's wandered, don't get upset or anything like that. Just simply draw it back to watching the breath. Stay in this pose for as long as you like. Then when you come out of the pose, roll over onto the right-hand side, bring yourself up. Because I've got the microphone here on the right, I'm going to come up on the left. The reason why you come up on the right is there's less stress on the heart, or at least that's what I have been told. So, for the meditation, I'm going to sit on a block. Drawing the left heel in, pressing in towards the perineum. Drawing the right heel in, pressing into the groin. Knees, hands on the knees if you like, hands facing upwards if you like. The reason why you're sitting on the block is so that your spine can be comfortably straight and you have all those natural curves in your lower back. Relax the shoulders, lift the clavicles, drop the spine of scapula. You may practice with your eyes open or your eyes closed, whichever you prefer. I would like you simply to inhale, feeling on the inhalation, the air going in along the inner sides of the nostrils and down. And then as you exhale, the air comes up, goes out, and you notice it on the outer edges of the nostrils going out. So inhale, tummy going out, air coming in along the inner parts of the nose, in and down. Going out, the tummy is pressing in, up, and out along the outer edges of the nostrils. Something like that. There are mantras that you can practice, but the breath, following the breath, being aware of the breath is the purest mantra. If you're looking for a mantra, the breath is the purest mantra. You always have the breath. Wherever you are, be aware of your breath. Let your breath become your focal point. When you're using heavy machinery or driving in a car, perhaps you want to be a little careful. But when you're out and about, you're walking, you're standing in line at the grocery store, you're waiting to get tickets to see a movie, be aware of the breath going in, be aware of the breath going out. You'll notice that on one side or the other, the nostril is slightly blocked. But every hour and 15 minutes or hour and a half, you'll notice that the side changes. One side will be slightly blocked and the other side will not. Then after about an hour and a half or hour and 15 minutes, the second side will be blocked and the first side will be unblocked, very slightly. It's a natural rhythm of the body. Don't force the breath. Let your body breathe at the pace that it wants to breathe at. If your body is uncomfortable breathing from the tummy, don't force it to breathe from the tummy. Just be aware that in the long run, that's what you want to do. You have your whole life to do this. Thank you for coming to the practice. May you remain well